few minutes for everybody to kind of come on in. Kikwa is kind of probably just getting off a flight to Houston right now, so he's gonna try to jump on and say hi and listen in because he really wanted to hear about what you guys have going on, Brandon, and especially since you're making the trip all the way to Hawaii. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Hopefully everybody had a great week. This week was short, so for me it's kind of like, man, I think look back, it's Friday already. What did I even get done this week? So
I feel you there.
yeah. Sure. And one thing about Tampa, I really liked Tampa. That was the first time I was in Tampa when we went to your guys' office this year.
Oh, wow.
Man, it was I really liked it. Definitely better than Miami. It's not as crazy. It kind of reminds me of Seattle, just the weather is different, right? It's
yeah,
kind
for sure. Very different.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be the next Austin because there's so much tech coming here, and I don't know.
I've just been hearing of Miami, like people making the move to Miami, but yeah, Tampa is better, I feel.
Yeah.
Is it more expensive in Tampa or Miami?
Miami for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're central, so whether you want to see the mouse, right, or be in Gainesville or be in South Florida, pretty much 3 hours any direction, you can be everywhere.
Yep. And it didn't seem so crammed. It seemed like kind of open, and so yeah, I really liked Tampa. We gotta come back and visit you guys.
Yeah, soon, please. You're gonna freak out when you see how much the place is transformed.
I can already tell just from your background because I remember what it looked like, and I remember calling Oscar kind of late at night because we just landed. I was trying to find out like where we need to be, he said that you guys are just wrapping up painting. I was like, painting like the office? Like, you guys really are rushing to the finish line. Yeah. But yeah, it looks different already. Looks great. Oh, actually, we stole your guys' idea with the sound boxes.
Oh, the phone booths? Yeah.
The telephone, the
Zoom booths now.
Yeah. Except we didn't have the craftsmanship in the office, so we have to buy and assemble. You guys built yours, right?
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll build the second ones differently.
Well, welcome everybody. Hope everybody had a great week. Happy Aloha Friday. Let's start out with leads, needs, and good deeds. Anybody have anything that they have on the line? Feels like it's been slow the last couple of months. But hopefully people are still getting into deals. And if not, then we gotta plan some stuff. Nobody? Nothing?
I have a client who I just was on the phone with, and he wants to do development, and he either needs someone to assign for hard money, or he needs somebody with capital. And the concept is Ocean View Estates. It is an Aina Haina. It looks over to the ocean, both directions, going to Waikiki, and then towards the other direction as well. And it's 4 villas. So high-end, $2.5 million resale values, and each lot would be around 5,000 square feet. So he has lots of experience in development, but he's never on paper himself. So bringing in capital partners, he's got a lot of connections, but nothing's sticking. I said I would put it out to you guys and see if we know anybody who would want to partner either on the deal, who is a developer, who knows somebody with capital who likes high-end developments, or somebody who would be interested in signing on the hard money loan with them, who is experienced, and get the capital that way. He'll bring in investors.
Does he have the money for the gap?
He would raise it.
Okay. So he needs a credit partner and then possibly an investor or someone to lend.
Yeah.
Second.
So normally his whole development in the past has been with private capital. So no institutional funding. It's always been just big pockets. So this is it would be his first hard money. Older developer. He's got a good track record in that sense, but he did crash and burn a little bit through the last recession.
2009 recession. Yeah. Oh, or COVID recession.
2009.
Okay.
We're still in that recession. That recession had just started.
Yeah.
This recession has just started.
A lot of, yeah. And a lot of
I had
people.
a client who was like, I don't want to buy right now. The interest rates are just going too high. And I think that the inventory is too tight. And I was like, yeah, I looked at the inventory in 2019 just because I keep hearing that. And so I just hear a lot of realtors regurgitating that here in this market. And so I went back and I looked at ours and I was like, we have the same amount of inventory than we did pre-COVID. It's not, we're always, at least here in Hawaii on Oahu, we're always going to have limited inventory. And it's just really interesting to see if people actually pulled up the data in their subsidiary markets, if that's going to be the same. And I just told that client, be careful, like what you're listening to. And, especially again, here in this market, if the interest rates go down, what are you expecting? House prices to go down with it too? Like pick your poison. It's going to be one or the other.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually Brandon and I were talking about it briefly, like asking about the Tampa market, because like you hear all over the news that Tampa is one of the biggest markets that is seeing the the steepest depreciation. And like I asked Brandon, he's like, it's all right. So
it's just getting back to normal.
Yeah, it's just getting back to normal. Like I think Tampa was like 40% appreciation in 2021 or something like that.
Insane.
So yeah, it's gonna come back.
He's like, what if there's a recession? I don't want to buy. What if I'm inside of a mortgage and the market was to crash and we get into this deep recession? And I was like, by definition, we are in the recession. And there's lots of people flourishing in this recession. And the monthly payment that you're getting into, the good news is that's the max. It's not going any higher than that. So if you're comfortable with it today and you have a secure job and you have dual income, like nothing's going to change. It can only get better. You can refinance, if the rates were to get magically better, and then at that point you refinance when the rates get better and the housing prices then probably start to go the other direction as well. And it's just so interesting. They're like, well, and even if the market was to do a larger correction, and I think it's important to know what happened in 2008 in your market. What was the largest dip that you saw? And for us in Hawaii on Oahu, a lot of the markets were around 5 to 8%. And he's just like, went back to the pain points of why were you originally looking to buy? And he's like, well, I was sick and tired of paying rent. I pay $1,900 per month. In 1 year, I paid $24,000 in rent. And he's been renting that for 2 years. And I was like, okay, well, say if the market went down 5%, 5 additional percent from today at this price point, that's going to be $29,000. So in an emergency situation, it's still not a loss. So if in an emergency situation, something happened, you had to sell, you're out $29,000. But if you're renting, you'd be out $24,000, except for you get to write off the loss on your taxes, which means a majority of that is a wash regardless. And I was like, but then you times that by 2 years. And he's just like, oh yeah, you're right. So I think it's just important to control the narrative with your clients, control the narrative with your family and friends. The more people that start to have more realistic questions and start to just pull down facts instead of echo chambers of doom and gloom, I think it'll help to change the conversations around us, right?
Yeah, and it's so true because the fundamentals is it's market specific, right? Some markets may be thriving, like when COVID happened, right? Miami was just like booming because everyone was moving all over, and so it's very specific to your market. Maybe nationwide, the housing market might be correcting and stuff, but in some areas like Hawaii, like you said, in the last Great Recession, which was primarily the housing market, Hawaii didn't take that big of a hit, right? It just shows that, yeah, because supply and demand, it comes down to supply and demand, and Hawaii is severely imbalanced. Just like a
Well,
lot
and
of
on
places.
Oahu, he was like, the inventory. So I was like, what other inventory you think is going to be coming up? Like, we have limited land here too. It's not like we're going to have some massive, economic growth. There's no like major drivers that are going to add tens of thousands of new houses here. So we're always, again, look at your market, what's happening in that market. Is it already, saturated and stuff? I don't know how many different markets are on this call right now, but I think that
that's important information that you told your client, because like Hawaii is not a cash flow market, right? So it's probably best suited to go cash flow somewhere else. Now, again, like if you line up two investments side by side from Hawaii and another, maybe Jacksonville, Florida, and you fast forward 10 years from now, even though like Jacksonville, Florida, the cash flow, the ROI is so much higher, Hawaii's a very strong appreciation market. So 10 years from now, and you look at the two investments and see how they performed against each other, the Hawaii one might have won, but we don't make decisions based off appreciation, right? We can't. If you want to be a savvy investor, like
otherwise known as speculation.
Exactly. Yeah. And okay. So if anyone knows someone who has experience with ground up, is looking to get into a project, and is willing to sign as a guarantor, a credit partner for another builder who has experience, I think I know who you're talking about too. So it's definitely someone who's been around the block and knows what he's doing. Reach out to Ashley or reach out to us, and we can maybe get you into a deal. That's how you get into deals without having to maybe put up money. Sometimes is you can leverage your experience, or you can even leverage bringing someone to the table that has the experience. Maybe that's enough value to get a little piece of the deal or be able to participate and learn. So the value can be created out of any, everywhere, even conversating maybe at our networking event, right? September 24th. When you're networking too, it's like, even though you're meeting someone and you may not do business with them, the value that at the very least you can give is like consideration, being genuine, so that when they leave, they feel good about themselves. Like, oh, that guy, something about that guy is different, like or that girl, like I felt really heard and understood, right? Like at the very least we can give that. So just never forget that we have value everywhere that we can bring to others, so and with that said, because actually we have our guest Brandon on the line. We also have Leslie, and I'm actually very excited because I met you guys for the first time out in when was that? April?
End of February.
Oh wow, so it was really in the beginning of the year then. Wow, it's been 7 months already since I met you guys. Met you guys first time in Tampa and heard your story, and I had to I forget who I was talking. I might have been talking to Oscar, where I was thinking, wow, how amazing is this? Because I started with New Wealth too at the Riverside branch, and I went home after I graduated, kind of still pursued real estate, and then reconnected with Melina and the team, and realized that they're setting up shop in Honolulu. And then now through the connection with you, you guys are in Tampa as well. And I think Dave, who was the founder as well, alongside Melina, her late husband, it just shows what kind of man he was, and him and Melina, what they've done, what an impact, and I just hope, when it's done for me, that I can have a legacy like he has, because we're living it right now. We're part of it, right? And what an honor. So Brandon, thank you for coming on. Welcome. And
thanks for having me.
I first want to start, tell us more about you. How'd you get into real estate, find your way to New Wealth, and then, anything that you can talk about, because I know you have exciting things to talk about, and I don't know if you can, but if you can, mic's yours.
Sure. So how I got into real estate, I think it's a very similar story to David Molina's. Like except I was much younger. My wife and I we were going to college, quickly realized that wasn't going to be the route. My mom was sick. Unfortunately, she passed away at 43. So I always had this like urgency to make something happen quickly. And after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, right, went down the
Yep.
seminar after seminar after seminar. And then the market crashed. I had 2 houses, went into foreclosure, ruined the credit that I had, was very intentional about building up, ruined, put a lot of stress on us, and had to figure out what a short sale was. Didn't help anything except my credit a little bit, but I had all the knowledge, all the coaching programs and everything. But when the market crashed, I still wanted to be in real estate. So I had a marketing agency. Like, we built websites that quickly turned into a full-on virtual CMO, outsourced CMO business for real estate educators. And so I kind of quietly, secretly in the back of my mind was like, maybe I can change the real estate education industry from the inside, right? So I would get access to everything. Like, they opened the kimono and I could see the whole business. And early in that journey, I was invited to go out to Riverside because we were working on a marketing campaign with them. And my buddy at the time was like, you got to see what they're doing in Riverside. It's very different. They're just amazing people and they've got a great community there. And I'm like, awesome. I lived in Las Vegas at the time.
Okay.
And I say it every Saturday in our intro, like, I made it out of the car. I didn't even get in the building. And I already was like, someone was grabbing my bags, and, like, you could just feel like that, the servant leadership, immediately. And after meeting them, I continued to build that business. We did about $1 million a year with a 50% profit margin. And I did no real estate. I was like, I had PTSD. Like, anytime, like, my wife and I would avoid a Home Depot like the plague. And
I don't blame you.
but when
How
our
many
kids
people made
came
it out
along,
of that and are still here? You know what I mean? Right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the people that you're training, I'm sure, and many people on this call, me included, never been through that. I came in 2011, so I was door knocking in 2012, so I saw the aftermath, and I saw, and it wasn't pretty, but I wasn't caught like majority of people who are in the game. So kudos to you. So what did get you back into real estate? Was it new wealth?
Actually, it was the spirit behind New Wealth community, right? And paying it forward. And my wife, so when we'd hit this kind of breaking point where it was easy to build that business when it was just me and my wife, but then we had a 1 and a 2-year-old, and I was in a service business, right? I was trading my time. I thought I had a business. I really had a job with 15 very high demanding clients at a time. So I realized I couldn't scale that business. So my financial advisor was like, have you thought about getting back into real estate? Like, all these people that I'm like, isn't it too late? This is 2016. I'm like, this is as high as the market's going to go, right? Like, it's not the right time to get into real estate. So even though we had repaired our credit and had the cash to buy these houses, we said, we won't spend any of our money on any education, any of the houses. We won't use our own finance or our own credit. And I picked up the phone and called a local investor, actually a friend with mutual friend with David Molina, who happened to be in the market that I was in. And I just said, hey, would you help me? I'm going to generate a lot of leads, and I know I can sit across the table with a seller and, you know, listen so hard that it hurts. And if I don't know the answer, I know I can call some people to figure out the answer. And he said yes. And fast forward, you know, with no time, nights and weekends, I spent like 5,000 on direct mail and bandit signs, and I had 61,000 by the end of the year, an extra 150,000 on like nights and weekends, like barely, like no fancy CRM, you know, no fancy, like I was like, this is way more leverage and than what I have to do in this other business. And I could see how I could easily help people, like, you know, like the New Wealth community helps each other do deals. I'm like, this is a no-brainer. So I started hosting weekly or monthly meetings at my clubhouse in my community, just to maybe help some people dodge, you know, a $30,000-$50,000 bullet, right?
Yep.
And then actually wound up going to work with a private equity firm for a year, learned how Wall Street bought houses. And fast forward, COVID hit. And that's when I was like, all right, I can't do this work from home thing. I need to get out.
Yeah.
And we had a little office, and our lender actually had this building and said, hey, I've got, you know, like 2,000 square feet. If you need it, I'll give you a great rate, because he foreclosed on the building. And I was like, as soon as I saw it and saw how much extra space it had for us to just stay late, that's when I called Melina, because, you know, it had been a couple of years since David passed, and you know, I didn't know how to, you know, I could only imagine. I knew the kind of man that he was and the family that they are. So the timing was everything. And that just felt like the slap in the face, him just being like, hey, I'm putting something right in front of you. So I called Melina. I said, either talk me into this or talk me out of this, because this just seems like this is what we were supposed to do, the location and everything. So long answer,
That
but
is awesome.
that's how we got there.
And Dave's words were provoke greatness, right? And that he did that for sure, indeed. Yeah, all the way from Tampa to Hawaii. That's it, you know, and probably farther. That was his reach. And it is such a blessing to be a part of New Wealth, and you know, as like an extended family like you guys, because I get to meet people who are like yourselves, hear their story, and I can kind of almost put myself in your shoes during those times, navigating like, okay, maybe not real estate anymore, you know, that one hurt, PTSD, but having to come back in again. And it's like, actually, when you said your financial advisor was like, hey, you ever thought about getting back into real estate? Like, I want to know who your financial advisor is, because like he's sounds like a smart guy. You know, he's like,
yeah, he was not your typical.
Yeah.
Because what I was basically asking him was, how do I, like, I can grit and bear through it, you know, making this profit. Like, I'll do it for like a couple more years, but at a certain point, dad's not, you know, cool anymore. You know, like my window is short with the family. So I'm like, you know, if I double it and do that for a few years, how does that math work? And he was like, if you're not committed to 5x this business, then you won't feel the result of it. I was like, oh, no way. No way am I going to have 5 times more clients, employees in the tech world. It was I was like, all right, I'll try this real estate thing. And I was blown away by how easy it is to just help solve problems, and how other people are willing to work with you. I didn't know that. All I knew was, oh, you want to know what I know? Write a check, a big check,
Yeah. But he does sound like he knows what he's doing, because yeah, the fact that he's like telling you, it's not going to work unless you hit economies of scale, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not going to hit 5x. Like it's just going to be flat. And
Yeah.
like people forget that in business. So you got to think about that kind of stuff, because you may not know how much work it is actually going to take, and to get to a level where it takes off. And I like what you said that he said was, you're not going to feel the results, right? Like
Yeah.
feel it. And yeah, because you're going to be operating and being tied up. You don't even have time to stop and feel. So okay, so now you guys launched your guys' club out in Tampa, bought the building, got a whole new office, and it's beautiful. So what is the plan from here, and what is like kind of future moves for you?
The plan from here is just continue to grow, and Melina was just out here for 2 weeks. As you know, you guys had a call, I think, while she was out here, right?
Yep.
Plan is to continue to grow from here and leverage and serve the community more, because our real estate business is still occupies the second floor, right? So
Gotcha. Yep.
we made the switch to say we're gonna put all of our focus on bringing in really what's been our best deals have come from the referrals, from the Monday night meetings, and just helping people out and getting people into the business. So now our plan is just continue to grow the community. Now we have every Saturday new members are joining, and we're doing things. We've innovated a little bit with the shared workspace, and obviously what you witnessed with NFTing the access pass. So that's what we're going to be talking a lot about that, and the future of real estate and the blockchain.
That's
selling the house
so
next week.
Yeah, I wanted to dive in on that because obviously it's so new. And when I heard like what you guys did over there, like it was kind of like, okay, it's going down. Like this is happening. It's no more talky talk, like, and I feel like it's about time that our space kind of gets a little disrupted, by technology, because I think it's necessary. But we kind of got to stay at the forefront of it too, right? When we got 3D printing of construction of houses, and then we have blockchain, right? So we don't want to be left in the dust. We want to be left in the know, so that we can be right alongside you guys, running alongside you guys, following and learning and executing. So where do we start in explaining how NFTs, right? Because like, how do you even explain NFTs in the short kind of time that we have? And then how do you tie it to real estate? So have you guys ran into this problem talking about it at all? Or
every
and
time.
if so, like, can you, how do you?
I'm going to defer to either Leslie or Kathleen. If that's all right.
That'd be great to hear the
give my
story
version.
of how you guys.
I might over explain to an extent. Leslie does a great job.
Yes. Well, and Janella, Kathleen, please feel free to jump in. So really, to understand an NFT, you kind of have to understand what blockchain is, first of all, and blockchain and the power of blockchain, which is why we love this technology and we see so much benefit in it. So blockchain is ultimately a transparent ledger that's not controlled by any country or group of people. And it's so when a transaction happens, it's recorded on there, and so it can't be manipulated either. And it's really based on, a trustless system. So it helps in terms of preventing fraud and a variety of issues that we deal with, especially in real estate. So an NFT is a non-fungible token, and it is ultimately some code that's on the blockchain. And it's unlike cryptocurrency or other types of tokens that function
We
very
just
much
could
like,
Oh.
very much like,
Oh, just
Sorry about
muted,
that.
Leslie.
Oh,
You
sorry.
got muted. Leslie,
okay.
there you go.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how that happened. So a fungible token would be something like $1. So if I gave you $1 and you gave me $1, they're both worth the same. It doesn't matter that they have a different serial number, they're worth the same value. A non-fungible token means that each one is very unique. And so the value is held within, its uniqueness. And what can be added to that code can be all kinds of utility. And so in the case of what DeFi Unlimited did for New Wealth, your utility of your NFT, you buy these NFTs that give you access to the New Wealth collab. And that is one of the utilities of that NFT. One is access, and then it's you've got different levels that we're going to be working on in terms of, you get access to different kinds of lending, and you can have access to, different tiers, providing different leads. If you do a certain number of properties with New Wealth, then you could potentially end up kind of getting a higher tier. So that's the utility of your NFT. Most people know
endless.
NFTs as right. And most people know NFTs for artwork. So it's, an electronic piece of art that's held in code. But you can do so much with NFTs. And that's part of why we went into this space, is because we realized there was such a great opportunity to use this technology and actually help, revolutionize industries like the real estate industry, because it would be so valuable just for the actual technology. If you think of, how you could prevent fraud in so many different levels. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that was actually very clear for me. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute or drop it in the chat. I think it's fascinating, and I don't even know the questions to ask really, but I guess when it comes to like, let's say the utility would be that if that person bought that NFT, the utility is they now get that house. Is that how it was?
So for the membership, that was the utility, was for the membership for New Wealth. Now, what we did back in February of this year, we actually sold the first real estate property with the ownership rights connected to NFT. And that was the first time in the United States, and it was the second time in the world. So they had done it one other time in Kiev. And so what we did is we connected the ownership of that property on the NFT. So whoever held the NFT actually owned the property. And we had to do that in a couple different ways. It definitely is like building bridges between an old kind of world and functioning way of things functioning, and then kind of the new way and the new technology. And part of that compromise was in selling the LLC that held the property, so that there wasn't an actual transfer of title. It was really transfer of shares of the LLC, because we were able to connect all of that within the NFT. The idea is to sort of start to show people what the technology can really do. And you can see very clearly that there is a future where you could have complete transfers on the blockchain. And we don't have to have these, small municipalities that are, walking over the paperwork, and it becomes so cumbersome, and 45 and 60-day closings. You can actually transfer instantaneously, or close to instantaneous. You still want to make sure due diligence is always done.
Right. So did you guys use escrow?
We did not use escrow.
Wow. Okay. No title? No title?
So there was no title transfer in that particular. Now,
oh, right. Yeah.
Brandon is he's taking a whole nother spin, and he's doing some really great stuff with this new property. But in that particular transfer, what we did is we actually transferred the ownership of the property was obviously within the LLC. So it was shares of the LLC. We sold the company via the NFT, which automatically transferred the ownership of the property.
Got it. Yep.
And
Okay.
it was primarily to highlight what can be done. The reason at the time we weren't able to go through, that traditional go and transfer title was because so many of the documents within the real estate industry are, compartmentalized in these small municipalities, and they are not on the blockchain. There is, I believe, a future where all of these government organizations will actually be on the blockchain. And so if you can imagine that power, it would be instant.
What do you think that's going to do to how we run business right now? Are realtors no longer going to be like, is it going to be disrupted? Because is it going to be like you list your house, you put your house up on it's like a Craigslist platform or something, and then buyers are searching and they can buy basically virtually? Like, what do you think? How is this going to disrupt?
I think, yes, I do think it will disrupt. I absolutely do. I think it already has. I think what is it going to look like? We can guess. I have a lot of realtors. I have title agencies. We've been on a couple different podcasts out of pure fear by different groups of people within the real estate industry, right? Because they're like, is our industry, is title completely going away? Are realtors completely going away? And I don't necessarily believe that's what's going to happen. I think things are going to evolve. There's always a benefit to having someone that has done multiple, when we're all been first-time home buyers, I mean, it's always nice to have someone that kind of holds your hand through that process. And we're going to make it more efficient, and blockchain absolutely does that. But it doesn't mean that a realtor is no longer going to be involved somehow in that process. Now, I think it will give people the option. It's kind of like Zillow, before we were super dependent on realtors to be able to even know what properties were out there. Now Zillow that's that decentralized element that's coming. This is all that's coming into, I think, our world and into it's just going to constantly become more and more decentralized, giving power to the individual. But then there's also power in that community too. So I think, how this all shakes out, I can't completely say, but I think there's going to be industries that are born from it, and there'll be industries that have to adjust.
Well, congratulations on being a pioneer,
Thank you.
And I want to ask you too, Violet, how is that? I think you got your hands up. You have a question?
Yeah. Hey, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to ask. So I was wondering if you could shine some light on this to kind of help me understand this part of NFT and real estate. Because from what I guess I understand is obviously real estate's value can go up or down, but also an NFT's value can go up or down, right? And if you own a property in an NFT, how would you determine the value of that? Would it be based on the property, or would it be based on the NFT?
Well, so it depends again if your NFT is holding ownership, right? If it's holding ownership and it's simply holding ownership of the property, the value in the NFT is going to be very much connected to the value of that property. But there could be so many different things that could be added to that NFT that could add additional value, which I think I don't want to take your thunder, Brandon, but I think Brandon's going to talk about adding
very much
additional
it's our
things.
thunder. It's all been collaborative from the beginning.
You guys are awesome.
So there are ways to add other types of utility to an NFT. You could also include things like simple things as if the artwork that's on the NFT that people see that's connected to the ownership of the property. I mean, that would potentially give it additional value. So let's say you have a famous artist that actually, came up with the photo of the NFT that holds your ownership rights of your property. That's going to be a little more valuable than maybe a typical, picture of the front of a house or something like that. Your NFT could hold all kinds of other utility, which Brandon will talk about, that may be more valuable than another NFT or another property.
So interesting. Dante.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a question. You can finish with the other one though, if before I get too
Oh,
deep
no,
in the
sorry. Go
rabbit.
ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
I think I know what he's asking behind that, right? The value of the property and value of the NFT. I think it's so easy with all this new language and semantics to mix the two worlds of like cryptocurrency and NFTs and to give you an example, our membership is one Ethereum, but I do not care if Ethereum is $10 or $10,000 because whether it goes up or down, I have 300 keys to this building and 300 that will ever be created. So supply and demand by itself and the value that we add, the more resources and the more people and their resources and network, people will, that is what brings up the value regardless of the currency that's exchanged for it. Does that maybe help?
That makes sense. That was a great question, though.
Scarcity definitely is helpful, for sure.
Dante.
Just to add upon that, for the value, if they're looking at it as for the NFT, real estate, it comes with steady revenue for the NFT. So as much revenue or whatever value they're coming out from the real estate, it raised the floor price because no one's gonna sell the NFT below whatever value they're getting from the revenue from the real estate. So it's a natural floor raiser.
That makes sense.
But
I guess
my question is, how do you get when you sell your NFT, because it's ownership to that real estate, do you register with the SEC or that's my question.
No, because currently the method that we transfer ownership is through the operating agreement that states that the owner of the entire LLC the ownership is connected to this NFT address. So we're not talking about securities here. We're just talking about unless you're going to start breaking up. If you start tokenizing real estate, then you start to come into the SEC regulations. But in the particular case of like the Bell House that we sold and the one that Brandon's going to be selling, you're just talking about one owner with one property.
Okay. Oh, okay. So as far as tokenizing, that's a different story then.
Tokenizing is different. So it's very much like having shares or, being part of a syndication. There's a percentage of return that is received and you're a percentage of owner of that syndication or percentage of that, property.
Got it. Thank you.
just out of curiosity, who was the buyer on the other side? Was it a home, like a?
So that's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I actually loved that things went the way they did. And this tells you, I think, the power of real estate and the power of real estate investors, the mindset of a true investor. So the owner was a female real estate investor. She was not a crypto enthusiast. She was not super knowledgeable about blockchain or cryptocurrency, but she was knowledgeable about real estate investments, and she did her numbers like we all are trained to do. And she realized this is a great deal. And so she taught herself, she figured it out because she realized that this was a great deal. This was a great asset. She figured out what she needed to do, made sure her funds were transferred, got her wallet opened up and took all the steps, and actually ended up the winner of the auction. So I love that story because I think it shows the power. If you can use blockchain to make an industry, like an investor realize, I'll go through those hoops and I'll participate in this because at the end of the day, the investment makes sense. And that's how she looked at it.
And so is there houses right now or NFTs for sale right now that's really they're selling the house, or have you guys not seen anyone doing this
Sure.
yet since you?
So no, they've had, I think there's been about 4, if I'm correct. Is that
That's
right?
it?
Still,
Kathleen?
it's still buying the business though, right?
It's buying the business. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So
Right, so the
but- so
then
ownership is
this-
in that.
Yeah.
the sale doesn't register as a comp then, right?
It
Like,
wouldn't.
yeah, okay. Oh, wow, so that's like the extra hidden market. Wow,
follow up.
this is insane. Go
But
ahead,
we
Holly,
do,
you had a
we
question?
do pay dock stamp taxes though, so the transfer is registered on some records, but I wouldn't guess that it's gonna be registered on the MLS as a sale, as a comp. I don't know, Kathleen, is it? Good question. Have you looked?
Yeah, what does the county records say that?
Because the name didn't even change, the owner, yeah.
No,
so
so
it
I
wouldn't-
opened up an LLC. I have an LLC that I usually do my fix and flips from. And then when we decided to go down this route, we opened up a separate LLC and did a quick claim deed and transferred the property. And that LLC is what was actually sold.
Yeah, okay, so we wouldn't.
I got a quick question about that. So, is the property always and forever will be attached to that LLC and to the NFT? Or let's say if I own that NFT, I can separately sell the property, but still own the NFT and the LLC and anything else besides that property. Am
So,
I able to do that owning the NFT?
so the answer is yes, you can do that with this particular NFT. Remember, we're in like new territory. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like you're almost chipping away at what the future is going to look like without knowing what that future really is, right? So we were trying to show the mechanics of what blockchain can do for real estate. And so within the operating agreement, we were very careful with the language that we used. So in other words, for example, if there had been some sort of fraud, let's say the NFT ends up in someone else's wallet that it didn't belong to, in the operating agreement, it talks about how we have the right to actually burn that NFT. But that, and then if, let's say that the current owner decides she doesn't want to sell it via NFT in the next sale, that's also written in the operating agreement to make sure that we can, either burn it or get rid of the NFT and disconnect it from the actual ownership of the property. Because really what we're doing, it's like, this isn't about having it stay forever and ever and ever this time around. It's really to show what the power of the blockchain can be and what it will likely, kind of with the future opportunities for that. At some point, ideally, your property is going to be on the blockchain. You can see the NFT and you can literally see it as it transfers amongst the different people that own that property. That would be the ideal, that all the records within, the county records are on the blockchain, so that closing documents, everything, escrow, everything is automated via smart contract, which is ultimately the code that makes everything automated. And you'd be able to track the entire history of a property without having to wait 30, 45 days for a title agency to do it.
Which
Okay.
that transparency, right? When the internet first came out, right?
Yep.
It happened slowly, like one city, one county, and now it's like normal for us to expect to be able to see all that in any one of the many tools or just looking up county records. But I think that the problem it creates, and I hear sellers bicker about it all the time, right? It's, oh, my information's out there, you can look up anything and it's all still centralized in many different places, right? And then you have big data kind of piecing, this information with that information. And once it's all on the blockchain, I think having that level of like full transparency is going to create a lot more security and it'll be pretty exciting.
I'm curious because since you guys are have done that, like, And you mentioned Zillow. Is Zillow, are they making moves in this, in like lining up NFTs? Because you would think that that's a plug and play for them. You know, like now people can sell their houses on Zillow through an NFT or something like that, and they can just direct sale with the, maybe with the, through the platform, matching a buyer and a seller. Like, are they? I'm sure they must be.
I think any large company within this space is probably doing the research and trying to figure this out. Remember, what's going to be difficult is the same issues that we deal with, is unless you're really careful with each transaction, you don't have local, you don't have the government that's on the blockchain. So there's a lot of bridges that need to be built, and there needs to be boxes that need to be checked, and you still have to make sure doc stamp taxes are paid. And if there's a realtor involved, you have to make sure that realtor is paid. And
Right.
and so there's elements that are coming together with some of the things that we're building, but it's not there yet. And so I mean, Zillow could potentially, they could potentially use NFTs to market some of the information that they have, but I don't know. And Janella, maybe you can speak to this a little bit more, but I really don't know how they would be able to do these sorts of transactions unless they were really kind of involved in each single transaction, because each transaction currently is bridging the old world, which is like the old paper world, with the blockchain world. And it's a little bit more, hand holding, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah. And I guess when you just the other day, I was saying like how archaic is our, like the monetary system, or even just having to, to send a wire, we had to send like 2 or 3 wires out yesterday, and wire cutoff time is like 9 a.m. Hawaii time. And that's when the banks open. So basically, like you're cut off, you lose a day no matter what. And we have to go down there, wait in line, sign papers. And then when you wire, that thing's not instant. It's like, it takes a day to clear, or 2 sometimes. So, and then you get a cashier's check. That thing, you're supposed to be cleared instantly. It takes like 5 days, 10 days sometimes. It's like, okay, this is why the banking system is under enormous disruption, threat of disruption. And I think it's necessary. And for
100%.
people like us, right, entrepreneurs like us, these calls are important, and guys, Brandon and Leslie and the team, and even Oscar, Molina guys, we're all going to be here on the 24th. If you guys are here in Hawaii, I would love to meet you in person after 2.5 years of doing these calls, virtually. Love to meet you guys in person, and hopefully even some of our guys are in the mainland that come on all the time. If you can make it down, it'd be great. There's going to be a lot of great speakers. You get to meet Brandon, Leslie, the team in person, and hopefully do some deals and get into some opportunities that would not have been there if you didn't, network and meet each other. And we all come from kind of like the same principles with New Wealth, and our companies operate the same way, just like our calls here. And so everyone's welcome, and it's for a good cause too, because all the funds are going to be, it's going to be donated. So Brandon and Leslie,
Hey,
thank you guys so
Corey,
much for
hi.
coming on. Hi,
Oh,
Marianne.
real quick, Corey. Hey, what's up, Leslie? Aloha, Brandon. Leslie, I know early someone asked about the realtor and how it kind of scares a lot of us because of commission. Can you share a little bit about your transaction? I believe you shared at one point at the club in Tampa that there is still a commission payout to the buyer or buyer's agent or seller's agent. Can you share just a tidbit of that?
Sure. So in my situation with the Bell House, which was the one that we sold in February, I had purchased it. I have a great relationship with several realtors in the area, and the agreement that I have with them is if they get me the deal, they get the deal on the back end as well. So they get commission on both sides. Well, when I decided to have the Bell House sold as an NFT, there really wasn't a need kind of to have a realtor in that transaction. But because I had made that commitment to my realtor, I actually ended up writing her a check after the sale based upon the sale price. So in that situation in particular, you know, it was more, you know, an agreement that I had made with that realtor, and I wasn't going to go against that because, you know, obviously this is a relationship business. And so that would have been the last time I probably would have worked with her. So, but in the great thing about blockchain and some of the things that we're all building is that once you automate these transactions, you can actually work it into the smart contract so that if there is a realtor that's involved in the transaction, we can actually program that into the smart contract so that once the sale occurs, the commission is automatically sent to the realtor or brokerage wallet.
So you don't have to continue to manually send the same information to the title company you worked with dozens of times. Like, here's the distribution, you know, request form or wiring information. You know, it's like, send over your wire. Like, we've done how many transactions? Why am I still sending you the wiring information? You
Right.
know it, you know.
Yeah.
Quick
It's all
question on the
programmed.
realtor side of things. What are they're doing for you guys? If you guys are creating the NFT, if you guys are advertising the NFT, what is the agent, how are they able to provide value to you?
So well, it depends on where we're at. So realtors can bring potential clients. I mean, if they know that a house is being sold as an NFT and they know that it matches the requirements of one of their clients who's looking for a property, they could bring the client. And we have honored that, and I'm sure Brandon would too, is that if you have a buyer's agent, then that commission will be included.
Wow.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the deal without that agent, right?
Exactly.
Has
Yeah,
anyone
I guess
from
you guys would just
Zillow-
be cutting out the listing side. Oh, sorry. You guys would be cutting out the listing side. So there wouldn't be, nobody would be helping you prepare. Are you bringing an agent in on determining resale value or strategies to, you know, get the highest value out of the house? Are you bringing and partnering with an agent to make sure that you guys capitalize on the current market, or is that something that you guys are doing on your own?
No,
Well, this-
absolutely. And go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, this property that we're NFTing next week, right? Next Friday, we're doing the launch party and then the open house. So I definitely have not spent as much time. I understand the possibilities, and just fundamentally, I believe more in people than I do, you know, big centralized systems, right? I believe most people are good. So give us the power, and that's great. I am not, there are certified crypto realtors. There are agents who happen to be also, you know, NFT blockchain enthusiasts, right? And their free time, or, you know, they're in the metaverse and that whole world. And so they can communicate and have influence and a following and a buyer's list, essentially, right? And can represent that and bring those buyers way better than I can by just putting it on the MLS. So with the property that we're selling, we're not just selling a fixed up house, we're selling a fixed up house with you know, a 90-day, because we did all the renovations. So we're guaranteeing the work after the new buyer bill's in for 90 days, which is better than a home warranty, which is just appliance insurance, which is really a pain in the neck. And we're going to make their first mortgage payment. So, you know, during these kind of like uncertain times, it could be potentially 2 months before they have to make their first payment, get settled. Explaining all of those benefits, and to someone who might want the house but has no idea what an NFT is. That's why we used an agent to be able to do that. So, and I'm happy to, because it saves us from just saying, here's a pretty house. It's a pretty house, but there's this added value.
So
Well,
yeah.
in addition to that is, there's a whole nother market of clients that for realtors, as they become more and more familiar with this world, that you now have the ability to help buy properties for. So you have early crypto adopters who bought Ethereum at, pennies on the dollar. And so they may have what is in today's day worth $500,000 or millions of dollars worth of crypto, but for them, it's really only a $10,000 investment, and they're willing to be much more competitive and willing to actually pay more for a property in crypto than they would even qualify for if they were going through a bank or a traditional sale.
Are you guys only accepting certain crypto like Bitcoin and Ethereum, or are you guys open to certain box of, cryptos that, I guess, do you put any limitations on what you guys are willing to accept?
Yeah,
For sure, right now.
Yeah. I mean, you want to stay with some of the strongest coins. And in my situation, there is the volatility element that you have to always consider. So we're working out some of those details as to how we would handle that, because you have crypto investors who have maybe a lot of Ethereum, but what we're trying to do is do the actual transaction of the sale in USDC, which is a stable coin. So it'll be pegged to the dollar. So there's not a fluctuation for the buyer or the seller. I lost $100,000 within days of my transaction because I didn't liquidate quick enough, and my sale was done in Ethereum. I was okay with that because I realized this is what happens when you're trying to be the first at something,
Right.
that you start to, you learn all the kinks. But that's why, this time around, we're doing it in stable coin, but we will help. We have the ability to help crypto buyers who may not have USDC be able to transfer their crypto into USDC very quickly. Because that is a cumbersome process. It can be a cumbersome process if you've got it on, if your crypto is on an exchange. There's typically limitations as to how much can be transferred. It's a higher exchange rate. We have the ability to actually help them with a quicker transfer, which will cost them less.
And then, so that first time they actually purchased with the Ethereum, you guys took the Ethereum and then you couldn't cash out and you couldn't convert the Bitcoin to the USDC in time. And that's where you guys lost that 100K.
No, I could. What happened was, it was literally exhaustion is what happened. So my sale was February 9th. We sold it February 9th, right? Or 10th. Now I'm forgetting it. I should not forget this, but I think it was the 9th or the 10th.
Normally that doesn't matter too, like a 9th or 10th, but with crypto, you're like,
right, it does matter. And
Yeah.
and the crazy thing is, I woke up the next morning and I actually had made significant money over what the initial sale price was.
Right.
I actually was refinancing a multifamily property that same day. So I went from doing this, historic transaction on the blockchain to then having a notary show up at my door with a pack of paperwork to do this refinance. And I was like, this juxtaposition is just like beyond comprehension right now. It was so bizarre. And we were just so burnt out from doing the launch party and all the media attention that we had, that I ended up not liquidating until a couple days later. And that's when Ethereum had dropped. So of course I didn't liquidate everything, thinking, right, that Ethereum would definitely come back, and it didn't. So I got to chase my Ethereum down. Which, it is what it is. And thankfully I did my numbers very much on the front end of that. I bought that property at like 250, 260. We ended up selling at 650, the equivalent of 650 Ethereum. I actually had a traditional offer for over 700,000 on the table, which we actually didn't take because we wanted to make sure we were able to do this transaction.
That is a very expensive learning lesson. Thank you for sharing the tips with us, because you definitely paid for your education on that one for sure. The
Yes.
other question too, how long did you market? And sorry, I had to jump real fast, but how long did you market when you went to go live and you said you guys put a lot of energy and stuff into the advertising? Like, did you put an advertising team to it, or was it just you guys? And did you give that like 2 weeks or a certain amount of days? That was you, Kathleen?
Kathleen, go for it.
So from start to finish, I want to say we did all of the press and all of the marketing in about 2 weeks. It was
So
very,
you
very
guys,
fast. It was,
you guys
we were
didn't
just.
launched it. Okay.
I didn't hear
Where
you.
did
Hence
you
why
guys
we were so
advertise it?
exhausted.
We can't hear. Sorry. We're all in the
Where-
same
where
room with
did-
Brandon and we don't want all the feedback coming back.
Did you
I
guys
couldn't
just
hear you.
advertise it on Instagram, or was it Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram?
No,
What-
we did press releases and we went to all the media and interviews. And I feel like once one media picked it up, it just kind of went like wildfire. And Leslie was just showing up at all hours doing interviews. And we were just,
Oh.
you know, not sleeping.
Did you guys
That's
get a
awesome.
lot of prospects on it? Did like added to your list? Is it like, did it, obviously that must have elevated this whole momentum of wanting to do more of these because you guys, you know, cleared the path. Did you put all those people into like a database of sorts where that's going to be your crypto buyer database?
So there were definitely in the thousands of people that, and they were all over the world. So that's the other great thing about this blockchain technology is you can have a buyer in anywhere, you know,
That's right.
we participate in purchasing these properties as long as they're able to meet all the US requirements for, you know, buying real estate in the United States. They can buy, you know, from, you know, the comfort of their living room in India or Turkey or wherever. And so we had lots and lots of international attention, press releases all over the world, actually. So it was, you know, it was really interesting to see how many people really, you could almost sense the desire for this to happen. You know, it was almost like people were ready for it. And you know, they were excited about it too. And we honestly, it was the excitement that really was just kind of kept us all going, because there was definitely hiccups along the way, but people were very excited and wanted this technology to be used in this way.
Wow, you guys came on here to share all of this with us.
That's
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you guys so much. Wow. Thank you guys for your
Well,
time too. I know we're a little over, but Dante, you got his hand up. Dante.
No, I'll
Corey,
be
go
I'll be
quick,
there
Corey.
on I'll be there on Saturday, so I'll probably save my questions for Saturday then, because we're over time. But I'll
Yeah.
save it for Saturday.
Yeah, Corey,
Right on, Dante.
Joe couldn't make the meeting, but you know, one of his last texts to me is, "Can you plug in the REI Pono Mastermind?" So yes,
Absolutely.
this is a teaser. Definitely, I think you'll have more time spent with Brandon and Desi and the team when you folks come. And again, it's for a good cause. So hope to see you all there.
Thank you guys so much. And please,
wait to-
reipono.com. If you guys haven't registered, if you want to, and hopefully see you guys all there. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Kathleen.
you.
Thanks for having us.
Aloha, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye. Have a great weekend.